ATP, what it do with your boy Clay More Rain? Back at you guys with another one. Always salute to my subscribers. If this is your first time tapping into the content, take an opportunity. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Hit your bell icon as well next to the subscribe button so you are getting alerts when all this content is dropping. So the fight we never knew we wanted. News comes out earlier today, that Turki Al-Sheikh puts out an announcement that, in fact, Brian Norman Jr. and Devin Haney are expected to meet each other in November. The boxing algorithm has been shaken. Guys, we know the history of Devin Haney and what he's been through up until this point. We understand the unfortunate series of events that happened with the Ryan Garcia fight. We understand what happened with him suing Ryan Garcia and how that completely tainted his brand. We know in his comeback fight in New York against Jose Ramirez in Manhattan in Times Square, how unexpectedly lackluster that event became for Devin Haney, and actually tagged something, put a jacket on his brand that said that Devin Haney was damaged from the Ryan Garcia fight. That in fact he was dealing with PTSD and was unable to actually turn over, let his hands go, take a risk, as it looks like he was remembering what happened between him and Ryan Garcia, and that maybe this might have been a different Devin Haney, a shell of the version of himself that we all became accustomed to and understood to be a 2 weight class champion, 1 weight class undisputed champion, and the youngest undisputed champion in the 4-belt era. Obviously, outside of Gabriel Frondoro, who's now become the actual youngest undisputed champion in the 4-belt era. But still, as far as men is concerned, Devin Haney checked all those boxes. What happened to him, and how was Devin Haney going to get back into this game and get the respect of the game? And at least, even if it wasn't for the respect, how was he going to get us to understand that he was back, if not the same as he was before the Ryan Garcia fight, but maybe even better than ever? Jose Ramirez was supposed to be that fight that checked the boxes, and it just never delivered. And on the return, and with Turki Al-Sheikh putting out statements since announcing the press conference between Terrence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez, that to be no longer having any Tom and Jerry antics in boxing, that he would support, a lot of the boxing space pointed fingers at Devin Haney and felt like that's who Turki Al-Sheikh was speaking with. Now, Turki never confirmed that. It is what it is. You know how the boxing space can be and how much of a toxic space it can be. But look, ultimately, at the end of the day, everybody was interested in knowing what Devin Haney's next move was going to be, and understanding that his next move would have to be his best move, because a lot of boxing fans, including myself, gave Devin Haney a lot of grace for that performance against Jose Ramirez, based on the fact that we understood after a year layoff and a hiatus from the space and learning new techniques to help him protect him from what he went through at Ryan Garcia, that it was going to take some time. And maybe that was just a tune-up, warm-up fight for him to get back into the space of an active boxer. But this next fight that he had coming up was undoubtedly going to have to make a statement. And not necessarily mean he had to stop anybody or anything like that. I mean, I'm sure some fans feel like it has to go to that extreme, but I think as far as the competitive nature of the space, the risk versus reward, that they wanted to see how Devin Haney was going to deal with that. And we just didn't get those questions answered when he went in there against Jose Ramirez. Well, Bill Haney goes out on a rampage, running around from platform to platform to platform with this hit list, quote unquote, a list of fighters that Bill Haney wants to square away and put together for his son, Devin Haney, who is now getting the tag named Debo. First negotiations with Devin Haney was between Teofimo Lopez and himself, as Ryan Garcia did take a loss that night in the Fatal Fury against Rolly Romero, and was in some sort of taking some space off to get his mental together. And Devin Haney, Turki Al-Sheikh, and Teofimo Lopez looked like they were getting ready to put together a fight. Teofimo Lopez ends up walking away from that situation. All of his understanding and all of his standards or requirements weren't met for some reason or another, according to Teofimo Lopez, and he chooses to sit this one out. But what does Devin Haney do? A fighter with what some people would consider limited options. A lot of fighters on the hit list that he was hitting for were all doing their own thing. Shakur Stevenson getting ready to fight Williams Zepeda, Gervonta Tank Davis getting ready to fight Lamont Roach, right? a lot of fighters, William Zepeda getting ready to fight Shakur Stevenson as well. I mean, a lot of fighters in that list just weren't going to be available. Jaron Ennis left 147 and went to 154. Who was it going to be? Well, Bill Haney saw a star in the making in Brian Norman Jr. He saw the trajectory that Brian Norman Jr. was heading on, and he felt like Devin's got to get a piece of this. The Haney brand has to be involved with this kid who's shaking up the space, and we need to get him earlier rather than later because he's just going to continue to get better. So Bill Haney, being the strategist that he is, strategically finds Brian Norman Jr. and starts to negotiate with him and let him know, let's put a fight together between Devin and Brian Norman Jr. Now, what a time for Brian Norman Jr., who's also looking for an opportunity to get that right dance partner. Trying to get a fight with Jaron Boots Ennis, who's made up his mind he's leaving the division. What was Brian Norman Jr.'s next move going to be? On the back end of a knockout of the year performance against Jin Sasaki, now with all eyes on Brian Norman Jr., his next move as well needed to be his best move. His next dance partner had to be somebody he can make a statement with, shake it up, and now reintroduce himself as the head welterweight in the welterweight division. Who was going to check that box? Well, Bill Haney made sure to reach out and communicate with the with the Norman team, and hence, although it got nasty at times, an agreement was able to come to an understanding. And Turki Al-Sheikh says, I'm interested. I'm all in. I want to see a fight like this. And here we are right now. Now, going into the fight, what are we expecting and what questions do we want answered? Well, if you ever wondered if Devin Haney had the heart, if Devin Haney had the chin, if Devin Haney was a dog that he always claimed to be and always seemed to represent to be in the other weight classes, Brian Norman Jr. has to check those boxes. As the most dangerous fighter right now in the welterweight division, what better an opponent to make a statement with and showing the whole entire boxing space that you are back better than ever than against Brian Norman Jr. And of course, Brian Norman Jr. looking to make a statement and get a signature name on his resume that lets the world know that he's arrived. Somebody who can challenge him. Somebody who can bring some cerebral energy to the table, something that gives him an opportunity to prove to the world that he is the best welterweight in the division. Who checks that box better than potentially a Devin Haney at 147 pounds? Both fighters have a lot to gain. Both fighters have a little bit to lose. This is, and these are the perfect ingredients to the perfect storm. A great fight. Stylistic clash between the boxer and the puncher boxer. Who takes it away? Excited to see what's going on. If you're being honest with yourself, the questions that I put out there are questions that most boxing fans have a question. That most boxing fans out there want answered. It's up to these two guys to put on that performance to make it make sense. As Turki Al-Sheikh has communicated, he's no longer interested in Tom and Jerry antics, and that if you were to perform like that on his stage, that he'd be going in a different direction and you wouldn't be fighting on his platform anytime soon. So the Haney seem to have got the message. The Normans don't have the issue because they're always trying to engage. This is going to be a great fight for us all to watch. You guys let me know what you think in the comment section. The announcement's been made. The storyline is there. The animosity is there. The power is there from Brian Norman Jr. The finesse and the boxing skills and the sweet science is there with Devin Haney. Who you got winning this fight? What do you think about the fight being put together? And do you think that Devin Haney is going to come back in spades? Let me know. It's your boy Claymore Rain. Once again, shout out to all my subscribers. If this is your first time tapping into the content, take a moment to go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the bell icon as well, so you are getting alerts when all this content is dropping. Until the next one, guys, it's that boy Rain. It's that ATP Combat Media Show, and at this point, we out.